Adams trade, though. We discuss the ripple effects of the Robert Saleh firing. Let's go.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. And, man, a lot has happened in the last 24 hours now, hasn't it? But before we get started, I'd like to throw this up on the big screen. The Jeff Ulbrich era has started.
Fuck what goes down this
and
year.
Let's go to this.
Understand
Let's go to this from Jeff Ulbrich. A scene from Hard Knocks. Here we go.
this. I don't give a fuck what goes down this year. We will always be in games, no matter what. We break some shoelaces and fuckers get a few points on us. Guys, we're going to be in every game. Guys, this is across the fucking field on the back shoulder. Look at this. I don't know if there's any other human on earth that can make that fucking throw. He's our quarterback. He's ours. He's ours. It's fucking awesome, man.
Look at that. Look at the room on old Jeff Ulbrich. I think that's going to go pretty. I think he's going to rev the room immediately. And as our number one Austrian Jets fan says, excuse me, and let's play this from Zariah Luna, my daughter.
Wow.
The Ulbrich attitude era, baby, has begun. Now, I don't know if this is going to guarantee success or things of that nature. You know, it's hard to know those things and prognosticate. But I'll tell you is this. Speaking of interim head coaches, I looked up this stat yesterday. I had to do a little math. But interim head coaches since 2010, that feels like a pretty good sample size of 14 years. Since interim head coaches have taken over, their records in their first games that they take over is 17-14. People say that when an interim coach is hired and replaces another guy, the teams get a spark. The record agrees. 17-14. Interim head coaches have won more than they've lost when a change has been made. And certainly we as Jet fans are hoping for that because that's week 6. That's Buffalo Bills. That's Monday Night Football. That's AFC East supremacy on the line. And Jeff Ulbrich, I'll tell you this. I can't guarantee wins this or that. I can guarantee you there will be an energy change, and I think that's going to trickle down to the rest of the team. We'll see how big of an impact that has. But obviously, as with Jeff Ulbrich being the head coach, he gets to make the key decisions that a head coach gets to make. So if he sees something on defense he doesn't like, he's going to go after it. If he sees something on offense he doesn't like, he's going to go after it. And let's see what it means. So I think, you know, sometimes people have asked in the last 24 hours since this news has broke, Paul, what is Jeff Ulbrich going to change about the offense? Well, first off, we need to see. He said he's going to, assess everything and see where he's at. He had just taken over the job. But I think it all comes down from the top. If your head coach is not delivering, then everyone else can go, oh, I could get away with this. I could get away with that. I don't have to mind my P's and Q's because of this reason, that reason, or the other. So I think that's something to monitor is how Jeff Ulbrich's ripple effect affects the rest of the team. We have a membership gift from our boy MFC, mother_effing_chew. Get the new Jeff Ulbrich era started right, baby. You love to see it. And Sean Carra, you are now a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club, and welcome. We're quite a ways away. NY Jets FL, we're 198 members away, which is quite a doozy. But speaking of NY Jets FL, and thank you, MFC, for gifting that membership. Let's all think about our Florida listeners. I also have family down in Florida. So some of them are going to brave the storm and stay in their homes, and that's crazy. But wherever you are, if you're down in there and you're holding tight or whatever you're doing, for the love of everything that's holy, take care. It looks incredibly dangerous and scary down there, so we'll be thinking about all you guys. So let's keep that piece in mind as well. Ooh, another membership coming in. Shout out to our boy EZ, baby, here on the show. Ah, yeah, baby. That'll flip the script. So now, Vocal Vike, you are now a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club. You love to see it. Let's update the banner. We're now 197 members away for old NY Jets FL. Love it. Thank you guys for the support. We appreciate you. Should be joined by Nick Ferrier here in a few minutes to talk about the impact, but I could talk about the impact while we're waiting. So Robert Saleh gets fired. Now the question is, what are the ripple effects of this firing? And one of the first ones I think we all thought of is, Robert Saleh lost his job and all, but are we getting Davante Adams? And well, according to all the hoopla, Adam Schefter said on NFL Live yesterday that trade talks have slowed down because the two teams that are in the Davante Adams sweepstakes primarily are the New Orleans Saints and the New York Jets. And the Jets, obvious, they just fired their head coach, Robert Saleh. So there's a bit of disarray, for lack of a different word. I mean, Jeff Ulbrich is figuring out being a head coach. That is quite the job that he now has to overtake, which is more than what he's used to, obviously. So they're figuring stuff out. Things are a little slower there. But the thing that is on the other side, so the Jets situation is obvious. That's why it could have, slowed down, is how Adam Schefter described the trade talks. It slowed down between the Raiders and the Jets and the Saints. So the Jets, obvious, Robert Saleh got fired. Okay, that makes sense. For the Saints, Derek Carr is expected to miss multiple games with an oblique injury he suffered against the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. So unless Davante Adams has a hankering for playing for Spencer Rattler or Jake Hayner, that one looks interesting. Josina Anderson, I see she has a tweet out on this Davante Adams business. My understanding is the Carr's injury does not necessarily impact the Saints' interest in continuing trade discussions for Davante Adams. The sentiment now is that the interest is contingent on Adams' current evaluations of his prospective teams given the outcome of Week 5 games. I have no idea what that means, but more from Josina. Even still, an agreement on draft pick compensation is still necessary. The energy on this portion of a potential transaction was stagnant even before Carr got hurt. Like another league source told me, the urgency with the Raiders to resolve this Davante Adams because they're the ones paying him. Interesting. So it looks like the Raiders, to the point, are trying to move him. And by the way, that's why today seems pretty important, because according to Ian Rappaport, if Davante Adams is still on the team by the end of today, the Raiders will owe him his game check, which is $970,000, just under $1 million. And obviously, he doesn't want to play there anymore, and the Raiders seem somewhat accepting that he's going to be on the move, and thus they don't want to keep paying him on a week-to-week basis. They want to kind of rip the Band-Aid off, but they don't just want to cut him. They want to trade him and get some sort of value, and that's why trade talks apparently have slowed down. Taylor Sterling here. Corley, maybe. Allen, no way. I'm assuming you're talking about potential trade parts that could go for good old Davante Adams. So Malachi Corley, boy, he seems really upset on social media. I'm being a social media doctor. Somehow that's part of the job description. So he could very well be in the deal. I could understand why for the Raiders that'd be intriguing. He's making like no money. His entire rookie contract is chump change. And why not, with the Raiders' current situation, throw a couple of dart throws? Allen Lazard, I just don't see anyone taking him. He's had some splash moments, obviously, with the touchdowns, but he leads the league in drops, so not sure. And then you have Mike Williams as well. Sweet baby Jesus, is this live? Yes. This show is live every single day at 7:30 in the morning. It is live every single day at 7:30 in the morning. Yes, that's incredibly early. Thank you for bringing that up. It is. Nick Ferry said he'll be here in a few minutes. You're just dealing with some issues. So what I believe ultimately is happening with this Davante Adams trade, if I had to speculate and guess, I believe it's going to be somewhere in the ballpark of a 3 and a 4 and Malachi Corley. That's kind of my guess right now at this moment in time. I think that's the package that gets it done. Alan says Corley and a 2 seems like the package. Hope it's less. Yeah, I don't see it being a 2. And Corley, that seems over the top. They're asking for a 2. I don't think they get both. Corley, who was the first pick in the 3rd round and a 2nd round pick, that's not happening. But I do believe it's like Corley and a 3 or 4. So I'm not totally off base. I think there's a big difference between a 2nd and a 3rd, but that's it. Kyle Gruber, why hasn't Corley seen the field yet? Only God knows. But I'll tell you this, one of the things the coaching staff has been very public about since the moment he was drafted, Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky, is he's raw as a route runner. It's a comment they keep saying over and over and over again publicly. Now, I think it goes a little bit back. Easy has said this several times. He's compared Corley to Denzel Mims and the fact that, like, the Jets said, well, Denzel Mims doesn't know Guatemalan, so he can't get on the field. You're like, what? Like, they kept saying he doesn't know every position and every role at wide receiver. Like, okay, so he's not going to be at the front of the test, running a lecture. But can he do something small? And I think that's what we're talking about. Is that people are asking, can't Corley be utilized, like in a piece here or there? Can't we, like, orchestrate a touch or 2 for him? Wouldn't that help? And I think that's a fair question from the people. That is a fair question for the people. Danny in real life. It doesn't matter, the front office. The Jets rival the Patriots in being absolutely inept at drafting receivers. Well, Garrett Wilson would speak differently. Jets, 1st round pick, Garrett Wilson at wide receiver. The Patriots, N'Keal Harry. Yeah, I'll trust the Jets slightly better than the Patriots. Thank you very much. Jericho Cotchery, we go mid-round picks. Hey, he's not too shabby. But sure, we've had 2nd-round picks, Devin Smith, Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims. Yeah, there have been some swings and misses. There's no question. But I don't know if I'd put us in the Patriot category. They've been god-awful. At least we had Garrett. Richard Todd 14. I must be in the minority, but I do not want Adams. Yeah, and again, as I said on the late night show last night, I'm cool with different opinions on this show. I'll tell you this. I absolutely want Davante Adams for a lot of reasons. First off, I'm not giving up on the season. We're 2-3, and we were playing for first place in the AFC East on Monday Night Football. So I'm all in on this season. So Davante, I still want for this season. Davante would give Aaron Rodgers a receiver that knows him intimately, knows the offense intimately, and would be plug and play, number one. Davante Adams is one of the best receivers in football, and he's one of the best receivers of this generation. All the receivers in the room can learn just from being in the wide receiver room with Davante Adams, practicing with Davante Adams, and plus Davante Adams. Have any of you seen Game of Thrones? I'm a Game of Thrones guy. In Game of Thrones, they had this red priestess, okay? And the red priestess in the show, and there's a lot of them, they were supposed to spread the good gospel, okay? That's what they're supposed to do, of the light, and spread the gospel, spread the good information, saying, hey, this light looks pretty great, okay? Davante Adams would be another guy that'd be spreading the good gospel of Aaron Rodgers. Hey, guys, this is how you turn. You turn here. There's a belief. There's a selling. There's a everything. So to me, I think it checks off a lot of buckets. If Davante Adams is on the field, the opposing defense needs to know where Davante Adams is on every single play. That's where that's what defense needs to know, which obviously opens up things for Garrett, Mike Williams, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Tyler Conklin, and go on and on and on through the list. So while people say, oh, could Davante Adams block? Could Davante Adams rush the passer? I'm like, okay, funny guy. Maybe he can't do that. But what he can do is open up things completely offensively. And, not for nothing, but get a guy who could catch the friggin' ball. All of those Allen Lazard drops Davante Adams would have caught. Which, by the way, okay? Jets are 2-3. With Davante Adams, they're 4-1. You miss a game-winning field goal against the Denver Broncos, and there was plenty of drops and people not looking in the right direction. Davante Adams would have been, that's a win. And then we go to this Vikings game where Allen Lazard had a cajillion drops. insert Davante Adams for any of those. Those are catches, the game flips, the Jets win. So people say, well, what kind of impact can he have? Well, I don't know, winning games? The Jets could be 4-1 and Saleh would still be employed right now, which some of you in the chat I don't think would appreciate. But it's neither here nor there. He's fired. It is what it is now. But again, you can say you don't want him. That's fine. People can have different opinions. In my opinion, that would be the wrong opinion because I just think the cost is minimal. We're talking about a 3 or a 4 here, people. The Jets, to Danny's point, right, our resident Buffalo Bills fan, the Jets have lit 3rd and 4th round picks on fire before. You remember Ja'Kai Polite? Yeah, he didn't make the team. What about Jalen Saunders, another 4th round pick? Oh, yeah, he didn't make the team either. Those are 2 rookies that the Jets drafted and said, oh, these guys are going to be pretty good. And then they didn't even make the team as a rookie. These are random dart throws. You want to know what this lottery ticket says? Davante Adams. I'm pretty sure I know what that is. That's valuable to me. 3rd or 4th round pick mystery in the future. No friggin' clue. No idea whatsoever. No idea whatsoever. Danny in real life again. I was told before the season, Sans Adams, Jets would be 4-1 or 5-0 at this point. What are the Bills? 3-2, 2-game losing streak. What are they going to be after Monday Night Football? 500, 3-3 in second place in the AFC East. Very possible, Danny in real life. Very possible. Let's go to another YouTube super chat coming in here. And every time we get a super chat, we got to hear from my daughter, Zariah Luna.
Wow.
Jets hurt Corley's trade strength not playing him. I disagree. Because if you've ever watched Family Guy and you see Peter Griffin in the room, you can have a boat or you can have this box. And Peter Griffin goes, well, we could have the boat, but what about the box? There could be anything in the box. Like a boat. People were intrigued by the mystery. We haven't seen him at all. All they've seen is Deebo Samuel 2.0 in college. So I would politely disagree with you there, Easy. I think the mystery package is still very much intriguing to somebody. Now, I'm not saying intriguing enough where someone gives us a first-round pick, but in a potential conversation with Davante Adams, I think that's intriguing to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, everyone evaluates receivers differently, so we'll see. We have another membership coming in. Shout out to Terrence Hill, baby, and we're about to get to our lovely guest. Oh, yeah, baby. We're now 196 members away for NY Jets FL, so let's keep spreading the good love. And the newest member of the Boy Green Coffee Club is Wesley Thompson. Welcome to the show, my friend. You are now a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club, and you are now a supporter of the show, and we appreciate it. Let's go to the phone lines. We've got our Jets reporter from Athlon Sports, Nick Faria, is with us.
How's everything going, guys? Sorry I'm a little late.
That's okay. We appreciate you powering through, Nick. So the first question I think a lot of us asked after this Robert Saleh firing was like, what does this mean for Davante Adams? We still get this guy or what? So I turn that to you, Nick. How does Robert Saleh's abrupt firing affect the Davante Adams trade sweepstakes as he is still available here on Wednesday morning?
Oh, it's still very, very likely that the Jets are going to try and get him. Remember, Robert Saleh was fired, not Joe Douglas. And Joe Douglas is also on the hot seat, so he's trying to build a winner. The one thing I found interesting yesterday with Woody Johnson, I'll have an article about this exact topic later in the day. Woody Johnson kind of defended Joe Douglas yesterday, saying that this was the best roster he has had in 25 years. That's not an accident, and that's not a mistake. The fact that he said that tells me that Joe Douglas may be safer than many people expected. So I still think that they're in line to get Davante Adams. I still think they will get Davante Adams because if they win on Monday against the Bills, they're in first place in the division. First place in the division with Jeff Ulbrich leading the way. And you need that kind of stability. You need that kind of firepower overall. So I think that this trade for Adams is going to happen. I still am confident that it will happen. Do I think it's the right move? Probably not. I think everyone needs to take a long, hard look at this roster if we're really talking about a coaching change at 2-3. Maybe addressing some other needs at this point, but at the end of the day, this roster, like Woody Johnson said, still supremely talented. So it makes sense to continue to go all in for this roster right now.
Yeah, let me go to that point of Joe Douglas, because I picked up the same thing you did when Woody Johnson said, well, this is the most talented roster that's ever been Frankenstein built on a lab table in 25 years. I went, who built that roster? Oh, Joe Douglas built that roster. So let me ask you this. Because Joe Douglas's contract expires at the end of this year, what is going to necessitate an extension, or is that a foregone conclusion, basically, that Joe Douglas will pick the next coach, or if Ulbrich obviously wins the AFC East, we can go down that road in a second. But like, what is? I guess let me just ask you bluntly: what is the job security of Joe Douglas right now at this moment?
That's kind of the big unknown, if
Okay.
you will, because there are a lot of conflicting reports right now. A lot of conflicting reports saying Robert Saleh was escorted out by security. And then you have people that are actually plugged into the organization saying, no, he was not. You had people plugged in saying that Joe Douglas was aware of the situation. And other people are saying, actually, he was not. So I think it's a wait and see game for a lot of this stuff. You have to wait and see what exactly is going to happen. It's still a big question mark. I've heard a little bit that Joe Douglas was not really privy to the conversation with Robert Saleh. I think it was more of a, hey, this is the direction we're going in from Woody Johnson, and Joe Douglas said, okay, this is you're the owner, you make this decision, and based on that, he didn't really have much of a say, which leads me to believe that the Jets still want Joe Douglas on the hot seat himself. They are still evaluating him because he doesn't have a contract after this season. So there is a lot. I mean, a lot to look over, and a lot of this is contextual based because context included. Okay, the record's really bad, but the roster that he has built has been really good.
Mm-hmm.
Does he get credit for that, or does he only get blame for the coaching staff that he has hired that hasn't been able to win? GM, when you put records next to a GM, I think it's a little faulty because the coaching staff matters more in terms of wins and losses than the actual GM. It's why Howie Roseman has stayed in Philadelphia for as long as he's had. He's had some terrible records, but he stayed on because his body of work is incredibly impressive. And he's allowed to go in and help with the coaching process. And he's very plugged into other teams. So there is that other side of the coin where Joe Douglas, I think, I wouldn't call him safe, but yesterday's comments certainly were eye-opening a little bit to say, hey, maybe this was never about a Saleh and Douglas. If one goes, both goes. It sounds like there's a lot more respect for Douglas in that room than Saleh.
Does Jess? Let me just ask you bluntly again. I don't know why I keep setting that up that way, as if you're going to answer differently if I say I'm going to ask you bluntly, as I say I'm going to ask you politely. I'm not sure. Anywho, does Jeff Ulbrich have a legitimate job of securing the full-time job with the Jets based on the results of this season, or is he simply just a placeholder, for lack of a better word, and they will hire somebody new next year, almost regardless of the results?
I think it's kind of a yes and no. I do think that if Ulbrich does do a good job, he will get the full-time head coach tag to him. And there is reason to suspect that he will do a good job. Former player, was really impressive during the Senior Bowl. Had some head coaching interviews that came out looking good. So there are people in the organization, people outside the organization that are pushing for him to do really, really well here. But at the same time, the Jets made a fundamental mistake from the get-go of hiring Robert Saleh. He's a defensive-minded coach, which means you have to hire an offensive coordinator to call plays.
Correct.
Well, after a 2-year window, this offensive coordinator is going to get poached for a head coaching job, or he's going to be fired because he didn't do a good enough job. That's what happened with Mike LaFleur. So it's happening with Nathaniel Hackett. It happens every single cycle. If you have a good offensive coordinator, he's probably getting a head coaching job within 5 years. If you hire Ulbrich to be the head coach, you are continuing in that line. You are continuing that, we'll hire a defensive-minded guy, but we're going to have to recycle offensive coordinators again and again and again and again. That's why a lot of teams now, they don't even look to hire defensive coordinators because they want their head coach to be the play caller to allow a seamless transition of plays to a young quarterback. So Aaron Rodgers is going to have a say in this. Another quarterback, a young quarterback, will have input as well, because they are going to need to make that decision of, okay, what am I going to do in this offense specifically if we're changing playbooks every other year? That lack of stability desperately shows. So I do think Ulbrich is going to be given the chance. I do question how big that chance will be if they don't make the playoffs, because
Right.
This offensive play calling mess just it hurt Robert Saleh and it cost him his job, and nothing seems ready to be changing right now because you fired the head coach but not the OC. So a lot of this stuff is still going to remain, and that's not a good sign for Ulbrich.
Yeah, let me ask you about that, because I thought we got a lot of differing takes yesterday from the Jets brass. So Woody on his conference call seemed to really suggest that, oh boy, changes are coming on offense, but basically I'm going to let Ulbrich make those changes. But yeah, the offense has not been good enough, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously. And then Jeff Ulbrich, when he spoke, he's like, basically, like, I just got this job a couple hours ago. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm kind of assessing everything. But, I it's something to the effect of, I anticipate these guys being there for Monday Night Football. So maybe the short turnaround, he won't change it by then. But he also kept, like, he would say, like, we're assessing everything. We're going to look everything. But I don't anticipate making any firings. But, like, the way I think Jeff Ulbrich is just getting used to being a head coach and saying things and trying to learn lessons from Robert Saleh podium past and try to see how he can say it. So what was your take on it? Because my takeaway from Woody Johnson was, holy shit, okay, some changes are coming to that offensive room, but it'll be Ulbrich's axe that's doing the damage. And then I hear from Ulbrich, I'm kind of like, okay, maybe changes are coming at some point. What's the real story here?
Again, it's kind of that middle ground.
Okay.
There are going to be changes coming, but I don't think Ulbrich wants to make a rash decision. Listen, if they made this firing on Monday, and I said this on your show yesterday, Paul, if they made this firing on Monday, I think there's a very good chance that Nathaniel Hackett is no longer the offensive play caller. I think there's a very, very good chance of that. But they waited until Tuesday. Robert Saleh spoke to the media on Monday. And because they waited, you now have less time to prepare for this week, this huge week that can put you in first place in the division. So by waiting this long, and by waiting as long as he did, Woody Johnson has essentially put Ulbrich in a lose-lose situation. If he changes the offensive play call, he changes the offensive coordinator, he's essentially saying, hey, we're on short rest week. You need to find a solution to Todd Downing and say, you need to find a solution to score more than 15 points in a game. If they fired him on Monday, it's, okay, well, you've had a full week to do this. So now the results must show differently, and you got to get your ass into gear. This is a lose-lose situation, and it kind of goes back to the dysfunction that Woody Johnson has created. This is the owner. And we can say, oh, Rodgers had input, Rodgers had this, Rodgers had that. The owner makes that decision. And from what I have heard, Rodgers was surprised. He was surprised that this was the solution. And what happens if they replace Nathaniel Hackett with Todd Downing and the offense still doesn't do anything? Who's the next one to blame? You can't blame Ulbrich. You can't blame Downing or Hackett. Are you going to blame Rodgers? Are you going to blame who else are you going to blame? At some point, the wheel of blame tends to the owner for acting, in my opinion, a little rashly, because you wanted to make a decision and you needed a breath of fresh air. But breaths of fresh air do not usually work in week 6 of the NFL season.
Yeah, that's true. I put up the interim stat right beforehand. I was doing the math last night on the numbers, and the immediate dopamine that comes from switching a head coach has worked since 2010. That's a 14-year sample size. Interim head coaches are 17-14 in their first game after taking over, so they've won more than they've lost. There has been that dopamine flip. But again, the long-term view has been that no one has outside of Bisaccia, and that was not a fired situation. John Gruden technically resigned, but he did help the Raiders get to the playoffs, but nothing beyond that is not what we've had yet. But I just saw from NYJ Mike and Matt on social media, who we love, how many interim head coaches have had the opportunity of Aaron Rodgers, this defense, and all the talent around. And I'd counter to say, I think they're right. This is, I think, perhaps the best opportunity an interim head coach has ever gotten with this win now team to make an impact.
Well, he did have an interim head coach at one point, Aaron Rodgers. Well, back when Mike McCarthy was fired.
Oh yeah,
they were what, 4-7-1. Now, obviously, much different sample size. 4 games compared to what are we at now? 12.
Yeah.
So there's a much bigger sample size for Obert to try and get this thing righted. But at the same time, I've said this again: dysfunctional teams do what dysfunctional teams do. And I have sort of, over the last 2 years, kind of banged my drum saying, hey, it seems like everything's changing in New York. The culture has changed.
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of went back to square one this weekend. You know, when you have an owner making decisions, and the Athletic report that came out last season, it said Woody Johnson listens to Jets Twitter a lot, an alarming amount for someone who's owning an NFL team. That kind of proved to be true a little bit here, because most people in the fandom wanted Robert Saleh fired. Yeah. Most people wanted him fired. Most people outside the organization wanted him fired. So Woody Johnson does it, and he gives Jeff Ulbrich the chance to be a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know how that fixes the middling offense that is 27th in the National Football League in total yards and one of the worst rushing teams in the NFL. That's what I would like to know. Now, I am not defending Robert Saleh because, quite frankly, the lack of preparedness, the lack of hot starts, the inconsistencies at the podium, all led to him being fired. He was not, he was not some overspoken and misunderstood person. The record is what it is. It was not good, and it was not getting better. You go into 2 games that you need to win, and you come out flat in both games, and you don't put up 20 points. And the same answer you gave is the one you've been giving since 2021. That's unacceptable. This is not me defending Robert Saleh. This is me questioning the motives of a coaching change in week 6 while you're a game out of the AFC East.
I'm curious, so you could feel free to shut this down. You ask what a lot of people do, that with this head coaching change, they say, well, if Jeff Ulbrich was this offensive whiz, like, okay, maybe I understand it, but he's this defensive guy. My question to you would be, is there a trickle-down effect? So while there hasn't been any immediate offensive changes yet that we are aware of at this point in time, does Jeff Ulbrich taking over, like as a head coach, he could go in the offensive room and he couldn't do it as defensive coordinator, but as a head coach, he's like Nathaniel Hackett, hey, do a little more of this, a little more of this. Maybe you call it trifling, call it whatever you want, that his influence, for lack of a better word, changes the thing. If Robert Saleh said, yeah, it's cool doing all these things, and then all of a sudden Ulbrich comes in and says, yeah, F that, we're going to be doing more of this. Could that have that impact on the offense we're talking about before we see any possible changes, which it seems like at some point maybe we're going to get? What about that? Could that have an impact?
I think the impact that Ulbrich will have is a little bit different than we're understanding.
Okay.
Ulbrich is a player's coach.
Mm-hmm.
And players' coaches, like Robert Saleh, tend to be more lenient on certain situations where it's, hey, the players, they're doing as much as they can. They're going as hard as they can. With Saleh, though, and his staff, he tries to be buddy-buddy. He tries to build a cohesive and nurturing environment. But when you're not winning, that nurturing environment becomes resentful. And it's, well, listen, we're going to be okay. We're going to stick to our process. But if your process is bad, who gives a crap? With Ulbrich, this is a little more hard-nosed. This is a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more no-nonsense. Mm-hmm. It's why the players have respected him. It's why coaches have respected him. I don't think that he's just going to walk in and tell Nathaniel Hackett how to do his job. What I do think is going to happen is I think it's going to be a short leash of, Hackett, this isn't working. Let's go. Change something up. Be a little more aggressive. Push the ball down the field. Pushing him to do things differently on the field, whereas maybe Robert Saleh would have been, hey, this is the OC. I'm going to trust my OC to make the right calls. I think he's going to be a little more on him than anything else.
Fair enough. All right, let's do this. We'll play a quick Hep song. That gets everybody in the mood. We'll be right back. We'll answer your phone calls next, right here on Boy Green Daily.
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking just football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. The New York Jets Football Club. Wow. Offense, defense, special teams. Watch the Super Bowl season with Boy Green. J-E-T-S. Jets. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. You're talking Jets football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. The New York Jets Football Club. Wow. Offense, defense, special teams. Watch the Super Bowl season with Boy Green. J-E-T-S. Jets.
Before we get to the phone calls, you may say, Paul, does Hep need to update those lyrics? Watching the Super Bowl season with Boy Green, an interim head coach has never taken a team to the Super Bowl. Now, you could say, boy, that means it's not going to happen. Or it could mean that we're due for one of those. And perhaps Jeff Ulbrich will rally this group. We will see on Monday Night Football, baby. But let's get over to the phone lines. We got plenty of callers here on the show. We'll start off with Tony Alexia here on the program. What's up, Tony?
Good morning, Paul. Thank you, Nick, for your last take. I mean, you stole the thunder explaining the things about the offensive things, but it's like it's such a happy day after in Jetsville here, seeing Saleh going. Not that you never want to see somebody fired, but it looks like Holbrook will at least have accountability, and I like the way that he got the team together, and the little message we saw of him, just bringing the team together to win and go in the right direction, which I really think that he'll do with all his might. I mean,
just to provide some context, it's a Hard Knocks clip from like 2 years ago. So that's not recent. We don't have any footage of Jeff Ulbrich rallying the team at any point. But again, if they win on Monday Night Football, I'm sure we're going to sneak peek in the locker room of the players going crazy for Jeff Ulbrich, a former player, and things of that nature. So just wanted to make sure that's very clear that that's not a recent video. Yes.
But my question about that Nick was talking about offensive, like with Hackett. And really the three top. Then you have Keith Carter, the offensive line. We thought we had it all together, and it's like I know Morgan Moses should be back Monday, right? For the right.
He could be back Monday. He could.
Yeah, could be back. I wouldn't say should be back yet. To Nick's point, I think it's could potentially be back, and we'll see. There's more. I was about to say Saleh press conferences to come. No, there's not, Paul. There's more Ulbrich press conferences to come with injury reports and things of that nature. Yes.
But I'm sure Ulbrich's going to give the spark that the team is in desperate need of, which is we're heading in the right direction. But I like the way Nick said he'll change up, he'll spark Hackett because the defense knows run, pass, run. This is a standard procedure. I mean, the only time was against Denver, the first play of the game. Roger got sacked, and we're trying to open it up, which but that guy Simpson didn't block him. It was just. I mean, we have a quarterback that's wounded. He's not. A lot of people are talking about Hackett. Rodgers ain't playing good. Well, he's hurt. He's wounded. He's off. He ain't the same right now. You gotta look at everything with the whole picture here. He's wounded, right? So I just like the way you guys talk. You took everything I wanted to say basically, but I really appreciate how you explained it, Nick, to a T. How Ulbrich should be going about it. Maybe you could give him some advice over there and send him the clip.
Oh, nice.
That'd be wonderful to keep us going in an upward spiral. That's what we need. Thank you so much, fellas. Have a blessed day.
I love you, Tony. Okay, excellent. Yeah, Nick, maybe you can start sharing some advice to the new head coach of the New York Jets. Which, by the way, that's a perfect time to bring in K Brock, the Jets fan. He's a loyal Boy Green Coffee Club member. He has a message to share with his monthly member shout out. My daughters are Luna.
Wow.
In Ulbrich we trust. I saw Jake Asher was getting this trending last night. I'm bricked up. That is vivid. Thank you, K Brock, for that. I appreciate it. Okay, there you go. Keep it going. Hashtag brick up, baby. Let's keep going to the phone lines. All right, let's see. Who do we have next here on the program? Let's take a peek ski. Okay, we got Easy on the show. What's up, Easy?
Yeah, I was trying to cue you because I'm in a good zone right now.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're as an offensive coordinator, you're having a lot more success with your signals than Nathaniel Hackett is. So I appreciate it.
Oh my goodness! All right, here's my take. Ulbrich, I think, is going to be in the offensive room, and I think maybe he could be helping Nathaniel Hackett script a few plays so that the first 15 plays, a lot of teams script them. I think now he has a chance to put some input in. And it may be something as simple as during the game, he might just go and say to Hackett, I want to do a pass play. I don't care what. I just want a pass play. And then they'll do a pass play, or he'll say, no. I want the 12 package. Do a 12 package, or do a 22 package, or he might just have that kind of input.
That might
to
be
help
that might be a little too intrusive in a game because you have a play clock and things of that nature. But maybe in your setting up, right?
That's what I mean. He could tell him, listen, when we get into certain, he can be instrumental. This guy was a linebacker for 10 years in the NFL, and apparently he was a beast. So, so he understands tendencies. He was an NFL player. I mean, Saleh played tight end in college, and Saleh is a good guy, and he's a great defensive mind. But Ulbrich was on that field. He knew. So I hope I'm not being too loud. Hold on. But Ulbrich was on the field. He knows tendencies. He's been a coach for 10 years, and I guarantee you, he's going to be holding players accountable, including Aaron Rodgers, because he was just the DC.
That's the key. Being able to, again, he, in all his Hard Knocks clips, he was going goo goo gaga over Aaron Rodgers being this guy. And I'd be fanboying too, but I think the key for him is to be able, and I've read this in Aaron Rodgers' book, and we've heard it from others, that he likes hard coaching and he likes being intellectual conversation of back and forth. Like, I think it's important that he cracks the whip for Aaron, just like he does for everybody else, and that'll be an important piece of the.
I wouldn't be surprised if he put Tyrod in on a couple of plays where, if they're getting run around, if they're getting blitzed a little heavy, he may put in Tyrod on a third down play just to open the field up. I mean, he may just do some things that the over conservative predecessor was doing. I think we were too conservative and too predictable. So
I will guarantee you this, Easy. That would be the most unpredictable thing I've ever heard. If you take out a 4-time NFL MVP for his backup, that would. I
don't mean it like that. I mean just on certain every now and then, and you let Rodgers know this. If he's getting beaten up back there on an absolute pass play, you have a couple of packages for Tyrod because he can run. Listen, I'm not an NFL head coach. I don't know, but I just think you got to just be a little flexible and give these defenses looks that they haven't seen. And just in case anyone didn't hear our conversation last night, I'm going to tell you why I think we're going to be keeping Joe D. Remember, we had this little discussion last night. Joe D went out and bought Kobe steak, and he got the best, finest, freshest organic vegetables. And Robert Saleh was the chef, and he burnt the meal. And now we need to see if Ulbrich's going to do a nice job and serve that Kobe steak a perfect medium rare.
Yeah, 100%. I like it, Easy. I like it. That part I like. I gotta be honest. Offensive coordinators' jobs are to mystify the defense. Both the defense and myself would be mystified if we took a 4-time NFL MVP out of the game for Tyrod Taylor to run around. Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. Even last week, when they made Adrian Martinez a practice squad elevation and brought him up, and then he wasn't listed as the emergency quarterback, which means he was available for wildcat packages or anything else you would have wanted to do with him. I kind of looked sideways at it, went, I'm not sure how I feel even in theory, talking about it before the game, an opportunity where I would take Aaron Rodgers off the field, put Martinez on and go, yeah, I like that. And that was just on paper in theory. So to actually do it in a game with a guy like Tyrod Taylor, with all due respect, I think that's a little bonkers. Nick?
I'm trying to say something to be respectful.
Sure.
We all know, what was it, Billy Madison? That one clip of the decathlon where he goes, what you just said was the most idiotic thing ever brought up. Yeah. Everyone in this room is now dumber from having heard it. I got to be honest. NFL fans are fantastic. NFL fans are fantastic. They are loyal. They're passionate, everything about it. But my God, some of them are just, they don't understand football. And they don't understand what wins in football. Because scrambling quarterbacks, and it's not just one particular type. Scrambling quarterbacks in general have problems with health, have problems with accuracy, and normally have problems with arm strength. There are problems along with that. And of course, I'm generalizing here, but when you're a scrambling quarterback, it brings excitement. Oh, we're never out of a play, as opposed to when we have a pocket passer, because pocket passers can't extend plays with their legs. And then they look at the scoreboard and they watch a pocket passer win every freaking game because he makes the throws. He makes the correct reads. And by doing that, you set your team up for more success as opposed to you just running around with the football. Tyrod Taylor is not replacing Aaron Rodgers. Tyrod Taylor will not replace Aaron Rodgers unless Rodgers is hurt.
Right. Yes.
To think otherwise is an acknowledgement that you don't know ball. And quite frankly, this is now the second time I've heard that, where it's, oh, well, Tyrod Taylor's mobility will help this team. No, it won't. It won't. The offensive line has not played well. Tyrod's mobility doesn't change that. The pressure is coming from the interior. The pressure is coming from outside. It's not just blitzes. Oh God, I can't stand it. You do not want to create a quarterback controversy. People and the fans do this all the time. Eagle fans do this all the time. You can't change up what you want in a starting quarterback every year. Be consistent. What kind of quarterback do you want? The answer is a quarterback who wins.
Yes.
Well, Aaron Rodgers has won a lot in this league.
Sure.
Tyrod Taylor has won some. He's won some.
Yeah, some.
Who would you want playing quarterback on your team? I guarantee you 10 out of 10 will say Aaron freaking Rodgers.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning.
I can't stand it. I can't. That's the comment I can't stand. If you're going to talk about ways to improve the team and get this winning streak on the board and end this losing streak overall, throw some legitimate ideas out there and not, maybe we should change the quarterback because Aaron Rodgers is 40 and he isn't moving like he's 30. Of course that was going to be the case.
I love upset Nick Furia. Hey, we got 5 new members on the Boy Green Coffee Club. Thank you, Tony Alexio. Thanks for spreading the love. Pay it forward, baby. We love it. And also, let's get some of this in. And one more. All right, the 5 new members of the Boy Green Coffee Club are Bobble Nick, Dallas James Santana, Taylor Sterling, welcome back. Alan got his membership back, beautiful. And Phil got his membership back. A lot of the big names in our Jets community. Shout out to Tony Alexio, baby, for getting that done. And we're now 191 members away for NY Jets FL. Beautiful, and thank you guys for the support. This show is a lot of fun. Tyrod Taylor did not have that on the bingo card this morning. I also didn't have Robert Saleh getting fired yesterday, so guys. Thanks for keeping it fresh. All right, let's go back to the phone lines here. Let's see who's next here on the channel. Johnny Boy here is on the show. What's up, Johnny? Good morning.
Boy Green, good morning. Nick, good morning. Hey Nick, just to get you even more pissed off, I think Adrian Martinez, right, should come in and play wide receiver because he's a quarterback that's mobile and he would be able to catch balls from Aaron Rodgers. I think Ulbrich now being the coach is gonna go ahead and do that. So I think it's great. What do you know? No.
Yeah.
The comical thing is I see people in the chat, well, that's not what he said. He's saying put Tyrod Taylor in for a couple plays. You are replacing a Hall of Fame quarterback for a couple of plays because you want to keep the defense honest. You know how you keep the defense honest? You run the football effectively with your running backs.
Thank you. And it's what we've been saying, a balanced offense. When you're having your quarterback throw 54 times, what are you having this guy play hero ball? You can't. We didn't ask him to come here. All of the summertime, Nick, you were saying, we're not asking Aaron Rodgers to go ahead and be Aaron Rodgers when he was in his 30s, when he had the mobility, when he's able to do that. No, we just want a quarterback that's competent enough to run the offense efficiently and be able to get it from point A to point B. And Breece Hall, Braylon Allen was supposed to be the guys that was going to open it up, the passing lanes for us. Teams have made us one-dimensional, unfortunately. Nick, first and foremost, I wanted to shout you out. I'm so glad you're on because you were killing it in the presser yesterday. I believe that was your voice when Ulbrich was on there and the questions that you were asking.
I wasn't on there. Sorry.
Dude, there's somebody that sounds just like you, bro.
Oh, you should have taken full credit for that, Nick. Say, yeah, thank you. There's no way to ever prove that. You could have gotten all the flowers. It would have been terrific. You would have been signing the autographs. You would have been kissing the babies. And Johnny said, you were great. You're like, oh, stop it. No, more,
I can't breathe. I'm dying here right now.
Yeah,
I can't breathe. I can't get in that room.
Also, I just want to say this real quick. So, like the Meadowland Swamp thing, I put up Brad Smith packages. I was cool with the Brad Smith package where we had Mark Sanchez, who in his rookie year threw 20 interceptions and only 12 touchdowns. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, let's zig when others are zagging. Our quarterback is not a all-pro. Let's mix in something else to spice it up. When our quarterback is a 4-time NFL MVP and prior to the game against the Vikings only had 1 interception the entire year, he had been playing not Super Bowl all-pro level, but he had been okay. He had been just fine, which is way better than what we've had. And then he had this horrible game against the Vikings. People were saying, he's washed. Let's figure out other things. I'm like, whoa, people, let's not overreact to one game here. Now, if that happens again against the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football, sure, we could have conversations. But, like, that's the thing for me is that I enjoyed Brad Smith. He was a great favorite player, a former mid-round pick, a former quarterback himself in college on top of all the other stuff he did. But I don't need any of that when we have Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Nick, I was going to ask you. So I thought you were in there, so this question doesn't work because I was gonna ask in regards to the players and the meeting that Ulbrich had with the players. Have you heard anything? What's come from that meeting itself, and the kind of a little bit of some insight in regards to how the players are feeling about what's going on?
I do have an answer for that specifically. So just because I wasn't there does not mean I cannot provide insight. The players kind of looked back and said, okay, we just got our head coach fired. How the hell are we going to fix this? And because in a lot of ways, this comes back to the players. Robert Saleh did not throw 3 interceptions. He did not throw an interception return for a touchdown. He did not tell the offensive line to whiff on their blocks to shut down their own running game. There's an accountability being set in. And again, that's part of the reason why I think Robert Saleh did get fired, where it was, hey, you're not holding these players accountable enough. I think there is part of that issue. But there is a sort of resurgence of accountability of this can't keep going on. This cannot keep continuing to happen over and over and over again. I think we're going to see an aggressive Jets team on Monday. Not so much that, they're going to, blow the Bills out 34-13, but something along the lines of they're going to try to start fast. And they're going to do what they can to start fast. And it's okay. Let's build something. Let's start building something for the future that we can really start moving forward on. and save our season. Now this is sort of a player-driven thing where it's okay. We weren't good enough then. Let's be good enough now.
Yeah. So I appreciate that because I was really intrigued to see what's that, and for them to be like, damn, we got our players. I mean, we got our coach fired. That's huge for me, at least. I think Nick went into the darkness retreat.
That's okay. He's fine. He's there he is.
I'm back.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I appreciate you saying that because I was intrigued to see what they were thinking in regards to that. So now they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder, like we got to hold it down for Ulbrich, that's been with us from the very beginning. So, last thing, Nick, let's go Mets. We need to win it. We cannot see Wheeler Game 5. I don't want to see Wheeler. That dude is great. Boy Green, I appreciate you with the daily content of all Jets stuff, man. Nick, Jets. I know you're not a Jets fan, but we still say the chant every day. Hey, Coffee Club. Good morning, guys.
There you go. There is Johnny gracing us with his presence, which we appreciate. And thank you guys for all the support. We appreciate it. We got over 1,000 people in the room. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe, and spread the good gospel of Boy Green Daily here. Let's go back to the phone lines here. We've got Chef Kevin Gilbert. Oh, boy. Good morning, Chef.
Nick. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Not too shabby. Better than Saleh, I guess, this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, we all got our jobs right now, so
yeah.
That's something to be thankful for. Just want to appreciate you having me on the platform. First shout out to Florida Phil, Terrence, Ted, all those guys down in Florida. Just thoughts and prayers are with you guys, knowing about this. What I read was Category 5 coming through soon. So just brace for yourselves. Our prayers are with y'all. First off, Nick, man, thank you so much, man, for all your insight, man. We truly appreciate you. I was kind of just back and forth, and did I hear correctly that we're talking about taking Rodgers out some plays?
Yeah, that was easy. Yeah, he called in and said he had a
Okay.
suggestion. I'm like, okay, let's hear what it is. And he said, maybe we can take Aaron Rodgers out on certain third downs and put Tyrod Taylor in there because he can run around. And both of me and Nick immediately, because, I have no idea what you people are calling in to ask about. So we both had the same reaction of our face in disgust. Like, I'm sorry, what was that? And then he just walked us through, and I'm like, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard, basically. So, no, yeah, I know sometimes people like
far more blunt.
Yeah, you're right.
Far more blunt.
Yeah, he was far more blunt. I was trying to be as polite and delicate as possible. But yeah, Nick was a little more blunt with it. It seemed like a ridiculous idea. I've heard the phrase when you have more than one quarterback, you have no quarterback. No, I mean, this is the Aaron Rodgers train. Again, I was fine with Brad Smith packages when we had Mark Sanchez or Kellen Clemens. There's a pull, or whoever, for God's sakes. But when you have Aaron Rodgers, to me, I don't ever want to take him off the field. Even Adrian Martinez, even a Wildcat package, even anything goofy like that. I'm Aaron Rodgers. I don't need to be goofy. I could just run an Aaron Rodgers offense. That's how I feel about it.
Word. We had Vic and Tebow with all that silly
right,
stuff too.
Yeah, that worked really well.
I know. The list, the hysterical, just the madness. I needed therapy, man, over the last couple days. If there's a sports therapy for just fans like us Jet fans, we need it. It's tough, and being a season ticket holder where I'm literally spending thousands of dollars to just put myself through this, knowing year in and year out, praying something else is going to change, and it just doesn't change. I'm hoping this move with Saleh will do something. I kept it to myself when I was at that Pats game, and Rodgers and Saleh, they had that push, hug thing or whatever, and the media was talking about it. I was worried, man. I'm telling you, I was worried because there's no way my boss is gonna come to me with his arms out open. I'm like, nah, get at it. Push him away. I'm gonna embrace it. That means I'm doing a good job and all that. I wouldn't push him away. So right there, that was a little something that was worrisome. But I kept that to myself. The Denver stuff, the first and goal, us just not being able to punch it in, that's effort. That's getting in people's faces, trying to rally the troops to score. That was deflating, for the fan base. It just reminded us of the the Patriots game last year at home where, you know, we lost a ugly one. The Falcons won too. The Raiders, like if we could have cleaned that up 10-7, you know, there's a chance we could have gotten the playoffs. And this is with Zach Wilson. But this year, it just seemed like when Saleh then was, you know, kind of throwing Rodgers under the bus with the cadence and all that, knowing, you know, that we had the 3 straight offsides in that Denver game, like that's where I felt like the locker room started to just kind of change. Where when you're talking about our sub, the reason why we're in this position, the reason why we got all this hype is because of Rodgers. Like, and you're talking about the cadence, the weapon like that. I just felt like that was just like the beginning of the end. Other people will say that it started, you know, a while ago. I believe Woody in his press conference yesterday was talking about it wasn't just a couple of days. Like this was something that he's been keeping a close eye on for a while now. So I just think with the Minnesota game too, not going for that field goal, you know, that hurt us too in the clutch where we could have kicked another field goal at the end to tie it up and to go into overtime. It's just some of these decision makings, like the game plan and just being able to start off fast. Like this is the stuff that was just lacking. And I still stand firm on being a solid like truther believer with just his development with young talent, with his defensive prep and everything like that. But when he was supposed to be a part of the offense, and now he's in the press conference just praising his defense and not really taking accountability, that's just where, you know, we just started losing me. But I really feel like with Ulbrich right now, this is somebody who going into the regular season, we were all had our high hopes on him doing really well and probably losing him in the offseason to another team. Now we got this guy, and I feel like this guy will light a fire under everybody and really hold people accountable and step in. Now, do I think he's gonna butt in on Hackett and Rodgers play calling? I think it might be prematurely to kind of speculate that he will do that immediately. It will take some time. I think on Hackett's end, putting his boy Rodgers in a situation of throwing the ball 50 something times, that's on Hackett. He got to do a better job. Obviously, the line was just god awful, and you know Keith Carter. You know, I think he's going to be on the chopping block if not already. Like that's just awful. Just seeing how we were just going through these teams and missing blocks and just allowing Rodgers to get hurt back to back weeks. Like this is something we really got to clean up. But you know, I just wanted to say thank you to the two of you for the work that you've been doing. You know, my only feedback, BG, just don't let the inmates run the asylum, man. Stand on business, man. Fake fans, don't let them talk about you, man. Don't apologize to nobody, man. It's all Jets here, man. Jets, Jets.
There he is, Chef, giving us his take on the matter. Now, we were just talking about the utilization of other players with Aaron Rodgers not on the field. And the only thing I may be willing to do is this super chat coming in. So let's play my Zariah Luna, my daughter here.
Wow.
NC Green, thank you for the YouTube super chat. We appreciate the support. Short yardage pony package, direct snap to the back with the other doing the tush push. I would say this. Hell, it's better than running a pistol formation on back-to-back plays in the same play over and over again. So I am open to interpretation. And yes, if we were at the 1 yard line and Braylon Allen gets the direct snap and he has a 4 or 5 yard running head start or whatever it would be, without DP is in the backfield running forward, I like his chances of getting in the end zone. So yeah, sure, that's a unique example where, okay, if Aaron Rodgers is playing wide receiver or not even on the field in that situation, sure, that one is a little bit more intriguing, but that's probably where it ends. Again, I'm open to interpretation. Maybe new things can come. That'd be something I'd potentially be open to, Nick.
As a staunch supporter of the tush push,
sure,
and its beliefs of exactly what it means and what it insinuates, you can't do that with a running back because running backs are not quarterbacks. When you have a quarterback under center, there is a particular footwork, there's a particular hands placement that you're going to need to master, and it doesn't just happen in a week. This takes time. This takes an understanding of the position. You have to have your hands in there as long as you possibly can until you have firm control of the football. All those things play a part in it. So it'll be very difficult to have Breece Hall or Braylon Allen under center taking the tush push. I know that people have suggested that. They are not the only ones. Philadelphia has now been doing this for 3 years, and everyone's saying, well, instead of Jalen Hurts getting hurt potentially in one of these piles, why not have Saquon Barkley? Why not have Miles Sanders? Other players take a snap and do that. But the center to quarterback exchange is not always pretty.
That's
and when you have skill players, they may not understand that when the ball comes at you fast, you still have to recover it. It's still on you to make sure that you have possession. So I don't think it'll work specifically. It's a process that has to grow, and it doesn't make sense to make it and throw it out there in a game that you have less than a full week to prepare for.
Yeah, fair enough. Again, Nick Faria, among his many insights, tush push is on the resume based on his Eagles experience. Let's go back to the phone lines. I got Tim from Fishland on the show. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, fellas. Just waiting on this hurricane. Supposed to hit tonight.
Yeah. So prayers out to you and everybody. We got a huge contingent of Jets people down there.
Anybody on the West Coast, they're fucked. It's very, very simple. I mean, they're screwed. You gotta understand though. Like, so if you flipped around and the storm was coming in on the east coast of Florida, it would not be nearly as bad storm surge wise because the Atlantic shelf, there's more water displacement because the Atlantic is deeper. The Gulf of Mexico is so shallow. So that's why when hurricanes hit the Gulf Coast, it's so devastating because there's nowhere for the water to go. Okay. I'm just southeast of the lake, or northeast of the lake of Lake Okeechobee. So I'll probably be getting like category 1, category 2 at most winds.
Good Lord.
Overnight.
All right.
So we'll see what happens with that. You know, it is what it is. They shut down work. Basically, they shut down most of the state. So my take for the Jets is, you know, there's 2 other things I want to see happen. First of all, I want Allen Lazard gone. I want him traded. I want him traded to the Raiders with the 3rd and 5th round pick just to get rid of him because I am tired of seeing him drop balls. He catches that ball on 2nd and 6 in the first quarter. Rodgers does not throw a pick 6.
Correct.
This is an ongoing thing. It doesn't matter if he knows Rodgers. Okay, it doesn't matter if he's in the spot that Rodgers wants. What does that matter if he can't catch the fucking ball?
That's a good point. Touche. Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, the O-line coach needs to go. He's the run game coordinator. You watched the 5 weeks of this team play. Okay. The running game and the running assignments these guys are whiffing on.
Yeah.
All right, inside zones.
Completely missing. Yeah.
All right. Counters.
Inside zone. Inside zone is one of the basic principles of rushing in the National Football League. You listen to Jason Kelce talk about it, and it is like, inside zone. You have the guy in front of you. You have the guy in the particular gap. You take care. They are whiffing on inside zone, and it's really not the offensive line. If you look at the tape, Jets X Factor did a great dive in on what's not working. And
well, the tight ends too. That tight end
the tight ends blocking are miserable right now.
Yeah,
miserable in how they have looked. But Bates, Rucker, Conklin, they have all looked terrible to this point.
Yep, that's another part of it too. Listen, when it all comes down to it, we can't ask a quarterback who's 40 years old to drop back 96 times and throw the ball in 2 games, especially against blitzing defenses. And don't even get me started on the pass protection. You know, on that sack by Harrison Smith, I knew it was a 7-man blitz. Okay, I knew it. And then when you're only blocking in 6, the number's not mathing. Okay, you need 7. You need to keep in 7 to block. Okay, if you're going to go with that play, you don't ever see any screen passes, and that will help. You know what I mean? That's what you use to get on the other side of the blitz. So you call a screen towards the blitz side. You let them come in, and then you throw it over the blitz. You never see that. Never see that. Okay. It's just so many bad things, but doing a Tebow Sanchez thing with Tyrod and fucking Aaron, come on. What are we doing here, people? What are we doing here? Okay.
So wait, are you trying to throw Easy off the OC train? He's been our
It's not
elected
even
OC
that.
for some
Paul,
time. I mean, yeah.
what did I tell you when we play Madden and you like to get outside the pocket? Not good because you're cutting off half the field.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not good. You don't have the whole full field, field length. You can't see the whole, you can't throw to the whole field. You're literally cutting off one side of the field when you roll out one side of the field and you're running around. Okay. The game is won from the pocket. Okay. In the NFL, you have to win the game through the pocket. Very, I would say maybe 6-7 times a game. Sometimes you have to break outside, extend a play, and make a play on a run, or you know what I mean. Just
Sure.
extending it
Naturally.
But
No, I got you.
One through the pocket. It's stop with this whole running quarterback crap. I'm tired of it. It's one through the pocket. Nick knows just as well as I do, and he's dealing with Jalen Hurts on this. How good is Jalen Hurts in the pocket?
One of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, actually. Statistically, he's been terrific in the pocket.
Okay. I see him running around a lot.
The thing is, you're right. You see him run around a lot. And when he gets into trouble, it's when he's running around.
Exactly.
It's like the antithesis of Carson Wentz. When Carson Wentz was our quarterback, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL outside the pocket when he's reading one side of the defense. But Jalen Hurts, is statistically and historically, is lethal in the pocket. And it's kind of a misconception, which I always laugh at, because you don't think that would be the case with Jalen Hurts. 6 foot, 225, however big he is. And he does scramble a lot. He does get himself into trouble. But a lot of the cases, like look at the Packers game. He throws that terrible red zone interception. That wasn't in the pocket. He was scrambling, trying to make a play. And he was outside the pocket, and he was too late on the read. He is lethal from inside the pocket, not as good outside, which is why I say I'm not down on Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to be down on Jalen Hurts because you've seen the progression as a starting quarterback. He's great inside the pocket. Outside's a different story. I'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah. See, but when it goes back to the Jets, and this is my whole thing, and this is it just drives me bonkers. It's like I'm watching the team. It's the same shit every year. Every year, they can't block, they can't run block. They're asking the quarterback to play hero ball. Okay, you got wide receivers dropping passes. I guarantee you, insert Davante in that game where Allen Lazard was playing, he catches 90% of those balls.
100%. And we're talking about a different team. This team could be,
He's on pace to I think he's only catching his balls that are thrown to him about 35%. So 1 out of 3 balls he catches. That's no bueno, especially in the NFL. Half of your job as a wide receiver is to catch the fucking ball. You know what I mean? I am tired of seeing it, man. I'm tired. He's making $11 million. Okay, so this is what I said to the Raiders. 3rd, 5th round pick. You take Lazard. You got another receiver back in it. Okay, we take Davante. Nobody has to pay. We just flip money wise. You got to pay Lazard, which is going to be a little bit cheaper than Davante, and we'll take Davante's contract.
All right, I will send that offer over to the Raiders, and we'll see if they accept on if they want Allen Lazard. I will try to cut out the part, Tim, where you talked about all his drops, because I think that might hurt his value. So I will cut that part out of the video I send over, but we'll send that over. All right, let's get to another caller to wrap up next time here. Hep is here on the show. What's up, Hep?
Hey, guys. Hey, Nick.
How you doing?
Good. Is it true that Saleh was escorted out of the building?
No, he was not.
Oh, okay, because that was actually made the Morning Joe show today. They said he was escorted out of the building. I was like, damn, what was it, a fight or something?
There are conflicting. Let's put it this way: there's a lot of conflicting reports. A lot of conflicting reports about what happened yesterday. From what I have heard, and again, this is based on the premise. Connor Hughes said this as well. He's very plugged into the team. Normally, the situation is he's not escorted out. He's just helped out by certain people. Now, whether it was head of security, I don't know. But it's not an escorted out by security to make sure he didn't actually, get into a fight.
Throw his ass out. Right, yeah. Like, get out of here, you bum. Here's your shit. Yeah.
That was-
Saleh didn't push Woody in the chest or anything like that, right?
No, exactly.
All right. You know what the definition of insanity is?
What's that?
Doing the same thing and expecting different results.
And that's what the Jets have been doing for 4 years.
No.
So now we're doing something different. So let's go.
Well, what's the difference?
Well, we have a new head coach.
But what this is kind of my point of questioning the decision in the first place. All right, you got a new head coach. You got what everyone wanted in Jets land. You got a new head coach. What's going to be different?
We got to see. Let's see if anything is different.
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you what do you think will be the difference between the coaching styles?
I don't think there's going to be much of a difference at all. Maybe a little bit more aggressiveness on offense because he's pushing Hackett to do so. But Hackett's still the play caller right now.
Right.
Keith Carter's still the O-line coach.
Well, he said he did say at the press conference he's going to evaluate the next few days what's going to happen. So maybe we'll see what's going to happen.
Well, I appreciate it. Hep, thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, we'll see if anything changes. Nick, thanks for powering through, you sick bastard. Get healthy. We'll see you next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, there he is. Nick Feria joining us here on the show. All right, guys, let's go back to social media. Peter Schrager has an update from Good Morning Football. We're going to play that video for you here on the show. This just happened minutes ago, 24 hours after the Robert Saleh firing, and here's everything Peter Schrager knows on what went down and what is next. Let's hear from Peter Schrager. This on Good Morning Football. This clip just released on social media.
Let's just talk. Okay, all right, let's get to this right here because I think the images tell a story, but the rumors and what you're hearing, that might not be exactly accurate. Saleh didn't view themselves in that building, ownership on down, as a playoff caliber team. So this was not a white flag, we're done with the season. This is a way to save the season. It's just unfortunate for Robert Saleh. He will not be a part of this. And if they do go on this wild run to the playoffs, he'll be watching from afar or at the golf course or wherever he wants to go. He might have to go to Thailand like our guy Cliff Kingsbury because he might not want to watch this because this team still has so much juice left in that building. Yep.
Yeah, we'll say this. Obviously, I bring on guests on this show to bring different perspectives, and Nick just explained to Hep how he doesn't think there's going to be much of a difference. And I'm going to say this. I am on the other side. I think there is going to be an immediate difference. First off, look at the history of interim head coaches. There are immediate differences. Interim head coaches since 2010 have won their first game more times than they have lost it. Jeff Ulbrich is going to bring a spark to the team. He is going to bring juice. And that is going to be felt. Every player is going to play even more. You've seen the players kind of lollygagging on the sideline. Brees has looked down. This player's looked down. This player's looked down. And they've just been kind of going with the flow. Jeff Ulbrich is new. He's fresh. He's different. People have been, even the players this offseason have done interviews all around the place and said, you know what, Jeff Ulbrich, man, he could be an NFL head coach. Well, now he is an NFL head coach for the rest of the season with Aaron Rodgers, a team that had playoff aspirations, a team that has a chance to still win this division. This division sucks. It's up for grabs. Somebody just has to seize it and claim it. While Nick may not think that there's going to be a massive difference here, I disagree. And we will see who's telling the truth. I also think with this offensive staff, let's see what else Jeff Ulbrich's going to do. Whether he's firing Hackett, is he firing Keith Carter, is he making Todd Downing the OC? What is still to become? There is still more to be had here. But as Yo Holmes says here, the division blows. It's up for grabs. The playoffs, 7 of the 16 teams in each conference make it. It's essentially a 50% clip to make the playoffs. The path is there. It's not impossible. This roster's super talented. I think he's going to fire up this group. I think there will be a trickle-down effect with him being at the top and how it's going to affect the offense, the defense, and others. I'm not saying it's an instant fix. I'm not saying that Jeff Ulbrich, all of a sudden the Jets are now going to have the best offense in football. I'm not saying that. But Jeff Ulbrich is going to let the offense know the identity he wants for this football team. And if Hackett or Keith Carter or anyone else in that room can't deliver it, he's going to move on because Jeff Ulbrich knows that this may be his only chance to ever be a head coach. So he's going to go balls to the wall and do everything he can to maximize this opportunity and maximize this experience. So brick up, baby. And I think he is going to get this chance to be the guy, and we will see if he will be able to do it, because I am super fired up for Jeff Ulbrich getting this opportunity. Thank you to the 1,100 people in the room that are watching live right now. Make sure you guys give a thumbs up, hit subscribe, spread the gospel of Boy Green Daily. We're going to be back on tomorrow morning with Ty Dunn, of formerly of Bleacher Report, also of Go Long. And he said on here that he believes Aaron Rodgers is washed. So we're going to get a different perspective tomorrow, and we'll open up the phone line so we can ask some of those questions to Ty Dunn, who wrote a piece, this is before Saleh was fired, that he believes that Rodgers is washed. We'll see if that is indeed the truth, as someone who covered Aaron Rodgers during his time with the Green Bay Packers. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Stay safe to the people in Florida. Just as Yo Hum says here, we're thinking about you guys. Stay safe, and we'll see you later. Take